Okay, so we're going to start with the basic concepts in math. Most of you already most probably know these questions. I'm just going to start solving questions immediately and explain the concepts as I go. So we're going to begin with basic linear algebra. Very simple simplification that you will see right now. Nothing too crazy. So it's just simplifying algebraic equations. فمثلا we have this equation, okay, 12s minus 2 plus 10s minus 5 plus 3s. All right, I'm just going to rewrite it. So we have 12s minus 2 plus 10s minus 5 plus 3s. And then into you guys need to look at whichever terms are the same. يعني هني we have this which has s, this which has s, and this which has the s. وبتحطونهم يم بعض to make it easier to solve. فبيكون 12s plus 10s plus 3s. I'm just gathering them and putting them next to each other, and everything that is remaining we will put next to each other, اللي هو minus 2 minus 5, and then we can simplify. طبعا in the case of s, we're gonna add 12 plus 10 plus 3, which is 25 s. زين وبعدين ال minus 2 and minus 5 we will add by itself, so minus 2 minus 5 is minus 7, and this is how you will simplify a basic equation. Most of you should already be familiar with this, but this is the whole idea. If we take something a bit more complicated, let's take this one for example. زين هني عندنا distribution لازم نوزع. زين we have 24 times 4p. All right. What you will do is you have to distribute. If I just rewrite this equation, and then a 24 into 4p minus 3 minus 8 into 4p plus 2. So what you will do here is بتاخذون هذا الرقم وبتضربونه في everything that is inside. بتوزعونه. نفس الشيء بتسوون ويا هذا الرقم. You will take it inside or you will distribute it. هني make sure the signs مالكم is correct. So if we do the big first one, this is going to be 24 times 4p. And then we look at the sign. This is as if it is plus 24, and this is minus 3. So plus and minus gives you minus, and it's going to be 24 times 3. And then again, when you multiply plus with minus, you get a negative number. So it will be minus 24 times 3. So we are finished with the first part. Now the next part, we have minus 8 times 4p. So minus, and then minus times plus. So negative times plus is negative. 8 times 4p. And then minus 8 plus 2, minus times plus is minus, and then 8 times 2. This is how I usually do it, all right? And then you can start simplifying. So 24 times 4p, obviously we'll just multiply the 24 with the 4, and then which will give you 96p, and then simplify each part by itself, minus 24 times 3, which is 72, minus 8 times 4p, which is 32p, minus 8 times 2, which is 16. وبنسوي نفس الحركة قبل. minus 72 ويا minus 16, and anything that has the p we will group together. زين اللي هو 96p and the minus 32p. So it's going to be like 96p minus 32p. زين. And then we have the minus 72p, minus 72 minus 16, okay? And then we can simplify this. 96 minus 32, and then is 64, and then we put the p, and then minus 72 minus 16 is minus 88. Very easy, very straightforward. We're just simplifying expressions. And this is the same concept for everything else as well. لكن let us look at this. All right, let's say we have this expression, which is minus 2. Second, let's say we have minus 2 minus x squared minus 6x squared. So again, we are going to look at اللي عندهم the same power, whichever has the same power, we can add together. So the minus x squared and minus 6x squared we can group them up and find the answer together. Minus x squared is the same as saying minus 1x squared. زين this will become minus 7x squared. هو minus 1 minus 6 which is minus 7. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, then I just give you guys a question really quickly. The عندكم minus 2 minus 3x plus 4x squared minus 2x plus 6x squared. Again, you're going to look at the x squared وبتاخذونهم مع بعض. You will look at x بروحه بس minus x minus 2x and the minus 3x and you will group them up together. And let's say this is plus 7. You're going to look at the plus 7 and the minus 2 by itself. Okay. وبعدين you will just group those by themselves. So minus 2 plus 7. And then you have minus 3x minus 2x. And then you're going to have plus 4x plus 6x squared. And then you're going to add each one separately. minus 2 plus 7 is 5 plus 5 يعني minus 3x minus 2 is minus 5x plus 4x plus 4x squared plus 6x squared become plus 10x squared. So when you're grouping, just make sure that it has the same power. معناته you guys can group them together. Very straightforward, the concepts, nothing complicated. And that's pretty much it for simplifying normal expressions. Let's get into solving linear equations. Okay. So for linear equations, what does a linear equation mean? يوم يقولون لكم linear equation معناته it only has x to the power of 1. Alright, so يعني عندكم equation is equal to 5 plus 3 مثلا. This is a linear equation لأنه your x value, or let's say 3x, there's only a power of 1 to it. This is what a linear equation is. So if we want to solve this again, بيكون نفس الفكرة. So 4, 3x plus 1 is equal to 7, x plus 4 minus 2x plus 5. إنزين بتوزعون, you will distribute into each one. All right, that's the first step. And make sure you don't make any mistakes with the signs. All right, يعني negative and positive. So 4 times 3x, 4 times 3x, plus, لأن plus 4 and plus becomes plus, وبعدين بيكون 4 times 1, which is equal to, all right, and I put them in parentheses. This is the same meaning as just multiplying, يعني 7 times x, زين, and then 7, since this is plus, again it's plus 7 times 4. بعدين هني اللي لازم نحاسب. We have minus 2. So minus 2 times plus x is going to be minus times plus is minus. And then we have 2 and x. Again, minus times plus is minus. And then we have 2 and 5. And then we can simplify. For 4 times 3 is 12x. Plus 4 times 1 is 4. Is equal to 7 times x is just 7x. Plus 7 times 4, which is 28. Minus 2 times x is 2x, and then minus 2 times 5, which is 10. Now the step here is we want to find a solution, which is نبغى نحصل the value of x. We need to find the value for x. To do that, we need to group up all the x's on one side. هني عندنا 12x, 7x, minus 2x. And we need to group up everything else on the other side, the normal coefficients اللي ما فيهم x's. So what I will be doing is I will be taking this to this side and this also to this side, and I will be taking this 4 to the other side of the equal sign, this equal sign in the middle. And then to do that, 12x, and then let's look at the 7x first. To take it to the other side, it's plus, so here it will just simply become minus 7x. And then remember, if you want to move any number from right side of the equation to the left side, you will just change the sign of that number. And now minus 2x, we want to move it to the other side. Since it's minus, it will become plus 2x. تمام? Equals. الحين نفس الشيء, 4 on the left side. Okay. أول شيء خلينا نكتب right side. عندنا 28 minus 10. This is just the right side, 28 and minus 10. We want to take the plus 4 to the other side. It will become minus 4. The sign will change. All right? And now we can simplify. For 12x minus 7x plus 2x is going to be, you just can put it directly مثلا in the calculator as 12 minus 7 plus 2. وبيطلع لكم 7x as the answer is equal to, again, same thing. You're just going to simplify this. 28 minus 10 minus 4 is equal to 14. Now, and then a 7x is equal to 14. The way you will solve this is you want x by itself. هني عندنا multiplication ما عندنا addition. We have multiplication here. So to get rid of multiplication, we have to divide both sides by the number we want to get rid of. Anything you do on the left side, you have to do on the right side. So we want to get rid of the 7 so that x is by itself. For 7, we have 7 cancel. For x will be equal to 14 over 7, which is simply 2. This is how you basically solve almost any basic linear equation. Just a quick recap. بتوزعون, you will distribute, make sure you don't make any mistakes with the signs. You will group up all the values of x together. Any values ما فيهم x بتودونهم الصوب الثاني. This is for a linear equation. And then you will simplify the x values and you will simplify the non-x values. وبعدين, if you have any multiplication, you will use division to cancel it out and find your final answer. And that's for a basic one. Now let's do B. Here we have fractions. And then here we have, the question says v minus 2 divided by 3 is equal to 2v minus 3 divided by 7. And then what you have to do here is something you guys most probably are familiar with, called cross multiplication. شو معناته cross multiplication؟ معناته we will take this number and multiply it here. And then, or to make it look easier, we are going to take it here and multiply. And we're going to look at this number and we're going to take it up here and multiply. That's it. That's all cross multiplication is. So if we want to write it down, it is going to be 7 times v minus 2 كامل is equal to 3 times 2v minus 3. And now you can solve this like we solved the one before. بنوزع, we're going to just distribute the 7 inside and the 3 inside. Make sure of the signs. So this is plus 7. So it's going to be 7 times v, which is just 7v. This is plus, this is minus. This will become minus 7 times 2. All right. Which is equal to 3 times 2v plus, this is minus, this will become minus 3 times 3. If we simplify this, this is 7v minus 14 is equal to 3 times 2 is 6v minus 9. Again, same exact concept as earlier. The v's اللي هو الvariable اللي عندنا, we need to group them up together. And the constants, we need to group them up together. So we will take the minus 14 to this side, and we will take the 6v to the other side. How do we do that? This is 7v, it's already on the left. 6v is positive here, so it's going to become negative here. Minus 6v is equal to minus 9, and we'd want to take the minus 14 to the other side. Since it's negative here, it's going to become positive on the other side. And then, so 7 minus 6 is 1v, which is just 1v, which is also v. And then it's the same thing. Minus 9 plus 14 is 5. All right, it's equal to 5. So v is simply equal to 5. And then, لأن 1v is the same as just saying v. Okay, that's it. That's how you would do it. Again, quick recap. When you have fractions, you will do cross multiplication directly. Tamam? This is how you would be able to deal with it very quickly, and then you will just follow the same steps as we did earlier. This is just fractions. And then, now, let's say we have something like this. 7. We have 7 over 20 minus y plus 3 over 5 is equal to 5 minus y over 4. زين. هنا we cannot directly do cross multiplication. ليش؟ لأن عندنا minus هنا. زين. The way I would solve this, there are multiple ways you can solve this, but the way I would solve this is I will find the common denominator. بما معناه I want this value to be equal to this value عشان يستوي عندنا بس one fraction. How do we do that? In this case, all right, in this case, we know that 5 times 4 will be equal to 20. صح ولا لا؟ لأن here we have 20, so we want these to be equal. So we will multiply the value up here as well by 4. Why? Because when we are multiplying a fraction, let's say we have y plus 3 over 5, when we're multiplying by 4 over 4, it's like saying we're multiplying it by 1, so it's staying the same. We're not changing the equation. So we will multiply the bottom part by 4 and we will multiply the top part by 4 عشان نحصل the common denominator. So if we simplify this, بيستوي 7 over 20 minus 4 times y plus 3. Remember, when we're multiplying by 4 up here, we're multiplying everything by 4, divided by 5 times 4, which is 20. Then this is just the 5 times 4, and we got it to be equal to 20, equal to 5 minus y over 4. This is how we would find a common denominator very quickly. Then we can just simply write this as 7 minus 4y plus 3 all over 20, because that's the rule of fractions. If you have the same denominator, you can simply just directly add or subtract numerator values. And this will be equal to 5 minus y over 4. Let's simplify this equation a little bit. So it's 7 minus, يعني بنوزع هني. We're just going to distribute. So it's 7 minus 4 plus y. So minus 4 times plus, minus and plus becomes minus. 4 times y is just 4y. Again, minus 4 plus 3. So this is going to be minus 4 times 3 over 20 is equal to 5 minus y over 4. And then we simplify it a bit more. 7 minus 4y minus 4 times 3 is 12 over 20, which is equal to 5 minus y over 4. As we have seen earlier, to simplify expressions, we will just group this and this together. And then فبيستوي 7 minus 12, which I'm just going to write directly as minus 4y. And then this is just the middle minus 4y. And then minus 5, because 7, this is just 7 minus 12. Okay, this is where we got this from. All over 20 is equal to 5 minus y over 4. And then if I just rewrite this one more time, so we have minus 4y or minus 5 over 20 is equal to 5 minus y over 4. What can we do here? We can do now the cross multiplication as we saw earlier. We can multiply this over here and we can multiply this over here. All right. So this will become 4. And then this is going to be 4 times minus 4y minus 5 is equal to 20 times 5 minus y. All right, very straightforward. الحين you could just distribute and start solving. فهني بيطلع لنا الجواب minus plus 4 times minus 4. الحين بنوزع زين for both. 4 is plus, so plus 4 times minus 4 is minus 4 times 4y. Plus 4 times minus 5 is minus 4 times 5 is equal to 20 plus 20 and plus 5 is going to be 20 times 5. Plus 20 and minus y is going to be minus 20 times y. لأن plus into minus is minus, 20 times y is 20 times y. And then simplifying this, we're going to get minus 16y minus 20 is equal to 20 times 5 is 100 minus 20y. الحين, again, same idea. The things that are with the y, we need to put them on one side. The things that are without any y's or any x's or any variable, we take them to the other side. فهني بناخذ ال 20 بنوديها الصوب ال minus 20. وال minus 20y, we will take it to this side. زين. ف minus 16y, this is minus 20, so it will become plus 20y هني is equal to 100. This is minus 20 on the other side, so it will become plus 20 over here. Now we can simplify. Minus 16 plus 20 is just 4y is equal to 100 plus 20 is 120. And then now again, we have multiplication. To get rid of this 4, we need to divide by 4 because it's multiplication. So we're going to have to divide by 4 on the right side as well. أي شيء نسوي على اليسار نسوي على اليمين. Anything we do on the left, we do on the right. So the 4 and 4 will cancel. Y is equal to 120 divided by 4, which is equal to 30. And that's your final answer. then very simple, very straightforward. Just a quick recap. We will find the common denominator في البداية. In this case, we have 20 and we have 5. So we know that 5 times 4 is going to be equal to 20. So we multiply up and down by 4. After that, we just simplify like we did earlier, nothing new. Once we simplify it, we do the cross multiplication, we do distribution. Then we simplify it again. Then we take any variables on one side, and in this case, y is on one side. وبعدين the other numbers on the other side, and then simplify and divide if there is multiplication. Let's say, I'll give you another example. In this example, it was easy. But let's say we have 7 over 3 minus 4y plus 2 over 5 مثلا. All right? The way you will find the common denominator here is ما نعرف directly if it's 3 times 5 يعني what we can multiply by 3 عشان نحصل 5 وكذي. So what can we do? We can take this number and multiply it here. زين. Up and down طبعا. And we can take this number and multiply it here. So times 3 up and down as well. All right? So this will give us 5 times 7 over 5 times 3 is minus 3 times 4y plus 2 over 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15, so it's going to be 5 times 7, let's say, which is 35, over 15, minus 3 into 4y plus 2 over 3 times 5 is 15. Now you can simply straightforward simplify this. عندكم 15 وعندكم 15, so you can just do 35 minus 3 into 4y plus 2 over 15. So in cases like this where you do not have a direct relation, ما تعرفون بالضبط كيف تسوون simplify, تقدرون سيدة بس تضربون هذا الرقم. You can multiply this number on the other side up and down, and you multiply this number on that side up and down to find the common denominator, which is 15 in this case, and then solve normally and move on. تمام? Let's see any other equations. Let's do this one. It's very simple, but I want to explain the concept very quickly. اللي هو يقول لكم 11 minus x divided by 4 is equal to 7. Again, the same concept. You're going to look at the values that have no x, which in this case is 11 and 7, and you will put them on one side, and the value that has the x, which is in this case this whole thing, x over 4, and then minus x over 4, and you'll keep it on one side. So what I can do is I can take this 11 to the other side. So what will happen is it will be minus x over 4, minus x over 4 is going to be equal to 7. And since this is plus 11 on this side, it will become minus 11 هني. We simplify this. This is going to be minus x divided by 4 is equal to 7 minus 11 is minus 3, 4. Minus 4. And then, now what can we do? We can get rid of this 4. How do we get rid of this 4? الحين عندنا division. So when we have division, to cancel it, we multiply. يعني if we have division, to cancel it, we multiply. If we have multiplication, to cancel it, we divide. So in this case, we have division, so we have to multiply. This is minus x over 4, so we can multiply by minus 4. عشان نكنسل الماينس لأنه when we do minus times minus is going to give us plus. So we want to get rid of the minus. We're going to multiply by minus 4 here, but anything you do on the left side, you're going to have to do on the right side. فبيطلع لنا الجواب هني this minus 4 ويا الماينس والفور بيروحون فبيبقى لنا x is equal to minus 4 times minus 4. Minus and minus becomes plus 4 times 4 simply, so it's x is equal to 16. تمام? This is the idea. If you have division instead of multiplication, you have to do the opposite, which is just multiply. Let's see if there's anything else that is very complicated here. This is basically it. All the concepts I have covered so far, it is how it is going to be. Let's do just this last one before moving on to week 2, content. طبعا, I would recommend you guys to practice as many questions as you can. You guys are provided by a lot of practice problems on Moodle, and I would recommend you go through as many as you can for the exam. It will make you solve faster and understand the concepts more better. Now, 10 minus 3x over 2 is equal to 2x minus 4. Again, the same exact concept. And then a minus 3x over 2 هني, and then a 2x here. We need to group them up. And then we have minus 4 and 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 10 to the other side. It doesn't matter. It does not matter which side you choose. Yani, you can take the minus 4 to this side if you want, and that is just fine as well. It doesn't matter if you do it this way or that way, as long as all the green is on one side and all the red is on one side. Yani, all the x's are one side and all the non-x's are on the other side. But me, usually, I try to keep all the x's on the left of the equation. Then it's easier to look at that way for me. But it doesn't matter at all. You can solve it both ways. فأنا باخذ الx هذا هني. To solve this, this is going to be minus 3x over 2. This is plus 2x over here, so it will become minus 2x over here is equal to minus 4. And then now we're taking the 10 to the other side. This is plus 10, so this is minus 10. تمام? Now, هني لو تلاحظون عندكم fractions, okay? Since you guys have a calculator allowed in the exam, I would recommend just type this, fraction into the calculator directly. So you'll put minus 3 over 2 in your calculator, minus 2, and find the answer. It is going to give you minus 7 over 2x. And then you're just going to put equals. Minus 4 minus 10 is minus 14. تمام? Now, if we solve this, here we have minus 7 and divided by 2. We have multiplication and we have division. And then, so the way to solve this is, you are going to have to do both. You're going to have to do 2 steps. So this is 7 over 2 minus x is equal to minus 14. فأول شيء عندنا minus, we need to get rid of it. So we know we're going to have to multiply with something that has minus in it. Since it is a fraction, we're going to have to also multiply with a fraction. فإحنا we want to cancel the 2, so the 2 will go up. And we want to cancel the 7, so the 7 will go down. So we're going to multiply by minus 2 over 7. And anything you do on the left side, we're going to do on the right side. So this is going to be multiplied by minus 2 over 7 here and minus 2 over 7 here. Again, I would repeat. Here we have a fraction and then a 7 over 2. So what do we need to do? We need to multiply and divide at the same time. And then a 7 فوق, عشان cancel the 7, so we can cancel it, we have to divide by 7. So we keep it at the bottom. And because we need to multiply by 2 because we have a denominator, we will multiply it here at the top. And we have a minus sign, so we have to multiply by minus to cancel out the minus. We will do the same thing on the left side and on the right side. Obviously here, مثل ما تشوفون الحين, the 2 will cancel with the 2, the minus will cancel with the minus, and the 7 will cancel with the 7. بيبقى لنا بس x on the left side. Now we can solve for the right side. Minus 14 times minus 2 over 7. Just write that in the calculator. Minus 14 times minus 2 over 7. That is going to be plus 4, and this is your answer. Before moving on to quadratic, any questions you guys have? Can I write as minus 7x to the power 2 minus 2? هاي شكله من زمان هالسؤال كان. Is this where we use the butterfly method? I am not exactly sure what the butterfly method is. Can you explain again? Which question did you want me to explain again, Haya? Can you just clarify? And I'll go through it again. Because this is the very basics of math. Yani this is basic algebra. You guys really need to understand this to be able to solve the future questions that you're going to have. Question D, page 5. Is this it? Question D? Okay. I'll solve this one more time. So again, just to clarify, let's see if there's a similar question to this so we can solve a different one. Let's do this one. Yes, this meeting is recorded. And then this is very similar to question D. This is question E. And then we have x plus 3 over 4 minus 2x minus 3 over 5 is equal to 2. And then now if you notice here, عندنا two separate there's a minus between the two fractions. So we need to solve with a common denominator. بما معناه we need the bottom, these two values, to be equal. And then for that to be the case, we are going to take this 5, and then we're going to take this 5, and we're going to multiply it in the equation on this side. So times 5 times 5. طبعا it's multiplying everything. And then these questions are all available in the large handout that is given, the 50-page handout. These questions are all from there. And then, so as I will repeat, we will take the 5 and we will multiply it to the other fraction up and down. بنسوي the exact same thing. We will take the 4 to this side and we will multiply it. We'll take it to this side and we will multiply it up and down. So this will become 4 times and 4 times, and we have to put this in parentheses. And then, so 5 times, now we can just simplify. So this is, if I want to simplify it, it's 5 times x plus 3 over 5 times 4 is equal, minus, 4 into 2x minus 3 over 4 times 5, it's equal to 2. زين, we can simplify this now and نوزع. So this is 5, يعني الحين احنا هني بس بنوزع. زين, وهني بعد بنوزع. We're just going to distribute. So 5 times x plus 15, which is 5 times 3, over 5 times 4, which is 20, minus 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times minus 3 is 4 times minus 3 is minus, plus and minus becomes minus, and then minus 12. Then all over 4 times 5, which is 20. Okay? Now, which is equal to 2. Now, we can simplify this straightforward, but keep in mind one thing. تشوفون هذا الماينس, this minus is being distributed into this entire equation. So how are we going to write this? This is as if we're writing 5x plus 15 minus 8x minus 12 to the all over 20. Keep in mind, this is the rule for fractions. The minus here is going to be distributed into the entire equation. And this is going to be equal to 2. All right? So if we want to simplify, لازم نوزع الماينس على اثنيناتهم. كأنه as if this is minus 1. It's the same idea, as if this is minus 1. All right? So 5x plus 15 doesn't change. سوينا التوزيع الحين if we just distribute the minus 1. So minus and plus becomes minus 8x. Minus and minus becomes plus 12. All over 20, which is equal to 2. تمام? 5x plus 15, again, we're going to do the same exact idea. We're going to group up the x's, and then we're going to group up the non-x's and just simplify them. So it's going to be 5x minus 8x plus 15 plus 12 all over 20, which is equal to 2. All right? Again, we can simplify them up here. It's going to be minus 3x. 5 minus 8 is minus 3x. Plus 15 plus 12, which is 27, all over 20, which is equal to 2. زين. Now we can cross multiply. When you see a constant or a number just by itself, زين ما في fraction on the right side, يعني there's no fraction, it is simply the same as saying it's 2 divided by 1. It's the same exact thing. All right? And now we can cross multiply. زين, so we're going to multiply this over here, and we're going to multiply this over here. So we will have the left hand side is 1 times minus 3x plus 27, which is equal to 2 times 20. All right? طبعا 1 times anything is just the thing itself. So this is going to be minus 3x plus 27 is equal to 2 times 20 is 40. And now again, the same concept, 3x is going to be, or minus 3x is going to be by itself. The plus 27 and 40 are going to be grouped up together. So we're going to take the 27 to the other side. So this is going to be minus 3x is equal to 40. This is plus 27, so it will become minus 27 here. So this is going to be minus 3x is equal to 40 minus 27 is just 13. This is equal to 13. Then, so x, now to find x, we're going to have to divide by minus 3 both sides. Because it's multiplied by minus 3, we have to divide by minus 3 so that we can cancel these out. Anything you do to the left, you do to the right. بيبقى لنا بس x is equal to minus 13 over 3. When you have a negative in a fraction, زين, and let's take this example, 13 over minus 3. We have this negative sign, okay? This is the same as writing it this way. So this is minus 13 over 3. This is the same thing. This is also correct. Oops. This is also correct. Or you can also take it up to the numerator like this, minus 13 over 3. These are all equal to each other. زين? So you can write, if you have a single negative, زين, you can move it around to be outside the fraction, up in the numerator, down in the denominator. This is all correct. تمام? Haya, is the concept a bit more clear now? I hope it is. Any other questions about linear before we move into, you are most welcome, before we move into quadratic? Yes, you can solve all these equations directly using a calculator, and I would recommend using that. Zain? Don't worry, I am going to send this file, this notes file to you guys as soon as it's done through the same chat as well. So don't leave instantly after the session is done, because I will send this and the link. So you will have access to all of this. But again, as I was saying, you can solve all of this using a calculator. You are completely correct using the shift solve, all right, and the calc. However, in the exam, أنا ما أعرف كيف امتحانكم بيكون. I'm not exactly how it is, but I would assume they're going to require steps. So if you don't show your steps, I'm pretty sure they're not going to يعني give you the full mark. So make sure you know all the steps, all right? Same thing with quadratic that we will look at now. You can solve all of it. It's MCQ, then I believe you guys can solve it all through the calculator, and you can just look at it on YouTube, and it will help. But this is just in case, يعني مثلا, all right? They might give you a question. I'm not sure how the multiple choice questions will be. زين? بس مثلا they will say this equation, زين, عندكم A, B, C, D. I am not sure. I have not seen the exam before. زين? مثلا يعطونكم A, B, C, D. Is this equation equal to this? اللي هو مثلا وين اللي كتبنا هذا. زين? Is this equation equal to something like this? Or is it equal to another equation وبيعطونكم other equations as well? This could be a question. يعني I'm again not sure how the questions will be. بس مثلا they will say something like that. And now what if, which of the following is true? This is equal to this, or 3x minus 27 is equal to 2, or blah, 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 blah. ممكن. I'm not sure. I'm just saying, just in case it might happen, you guys should know the basic steps of how to solve such a question. تمام? Otherwise, all of week 1 and week 2, other than transposition, can be solved using a calculator. Okay? Let's move on to week 2. All right, but let's take a 5-minute break. زين. A 5-minute break until 7:55 since we're a bit ahead, and we'll continue again at 7:55 for week 2 material. So break until 7:55 يعني 5-minute break only. All right, and we will continue. If you guys have any questions, I will be around for these 5 minutes, so you can ask. No, they don't need the step. Okay, when will you send the recording? Inshallah, by the end of the session, I will, whenever it's ready, I will upload it and I will send it through the same chat. Again, if you guys have any questions for the next 5 minutes, I will be here. I'm just giving myself and you guys a break عشان شوي تستوعبون, and then we will continue. Abdullah, I believe your question is a transposition question. Inshallah, we will cover that topic after the break. Again, Hassan, this is going to be covered in week 2 material, and we're going to go over it as well. Don't worry. زين it is correct زين minus 4.33 إذا حطيتي minus 13/3 in the calculator it's going to be the same thing زين just 2 more minutes and we'll start 2 more minutes. Okay. Let's go to week 2. زين we finished with the linear equations. We're going to start with quadratic equations. What's a quadratic equation? A quadratic equation, again, you can solve this using the calculator, obviously. Best, what is a quadratic equation? A quadratic equation يوم يكون عندنا x squared in our problem. When we have x squared معناته quadratic. Okay? That's the difference. So linear بيكون بس x بروحه or y or f or whatever the variable is. Quadratic, we will have x squared. So there are 3 main ways of how to solve these quadratic equations. There's factorization, and there's the quadratic formula, which I will go over very quickly for both. So the first method is factorization, A. Then, so I'll rewrite the equation. It's x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. I hate the factorization method, but you have to learn it, unfortunately. So you will look at your C. So again, you know that this is A, B, and C. So your A value is equal to 1, your B is equal to minus 5, and your C is equal to 6. So you will look at your C value, which is 6 in this case. 6, and you will look at the minus 5 as well, which is your B value. But first, we will start with the 6. We're going to look at all the factors of 6. So we have 1 and 6. زين يعني 1 times 6 is equal to 6. And we have 3 times 2, which also gives 6. Okay, this is using factorization method. Now, what else we need to check? We need to check minus 5. Which 2 numbers, if you add or subtract, is going to give us minus 5? It is the 1 and 6. Then when you do 1 minus 6, you're going to equal to minus 5. So we know that it's going to be 1 and minus 6. All right. So simply we could just factorize it this way. It's going to be x minus 6 times x plus 1 is equal to 0. So the solutions are going to be 1 minus 6 is minus 5. One second. 3, 2. 1 minus 6 is equal to minus 5. Yeah, صح. زين. لا, sorry. We're not going to be looking at the 1 and 6. We're going to be looking at the 3 and 2. لأن هني 3 and 2, when you're going to multiply them into each other, it's going to give you 6. And then when you do minus 3 minus 2, that is going to give you minus 5. زين? So this is going to be minus 3 minus 2. So we're going to write x minus 3 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. This is how you would factorize this using the factorization method. I hate this method so much. مثل ما تشوفون حتى أنا أخربط فيه مرات. So what is going to be your solution when one of these is equal to 0? So if x minus 3, when is x minus 3 equal to 0? When x is equal to 3. ليش? As if you're writing x minus 3 is equal to 0. So if you take the 3 to the other side, x is going to be equal to 3. زين? Another solution is when this is equal to 0. So x is equal to 2, same idea. X minus 2 is equal to 0. If we take the 2 to the other side, it's going to be x is equal to 2. So your solution is 2 and 3. So when x is equal to 2 and when x is equal to 3. This is using the factorization method, which I do not really like. You might need to know this because maybe in the multiple choice they might give you the factorization. So just in case, practice it a little bit. And then there's the quadratic formula, part B. All right. The quadratic formula, I'm just going to rewrite the equation. X squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. All right. Quadratic formula is this. X1 is going to be equal to, or just x is equal to, minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Again, our a is equal to 1, our b is equal to minus 5, and our c is equal to 6. Pretty sure you guys saw this a lot in Math 1 anyways. So x1 is going to be equal to minus b plus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And x2 is going to be equal to minus b minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. زين؟ وبعدين بس بنعوض الفاليوز. So we have a is equal to 1. We have b is equal to 5 minus 5. So minus 5 plus square root of minus 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 6, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. زين? And x2 is going to be the exact same thing. x2 is equal to the exact same thing, but it is going to be, instead of plus, it is going to be minus. Okay? This is going to be minus. And then when you solve this, x1 is going to be equal to 3, and x2 is going to be equal to, if you just plug this into the calculator, it's going to be equal to 2. So this was the factorization method, and this was the formula method. Now, using the calculator, everyone should know by now, there is something called mod 5-3. This way you can directly solve this equation using your calculator. So if we go take our calculators, hit mode and then 5, which is equation, and then 3, which is a quadratic equation, you will get a small table which looks like this. بيكون عندكم A, B, and C on your calculator. And you will put in the value for each one. So we know that A was equal to 1, and B was equal to minus 5, and C was equal to 6. So you're just going to put 1, minus 5, and 6 in the calculator. So 1 equals, minus 5 equals, and 6 equals. So every time you put a number, you're going to hit the equal sign. But then you'll put the next number, and then you'll hit the equal sign. And then you'll put the last number, and you'll hit the equal sign. Okay? Then once you hit equal again, after you hit equal, you're going to get something like this. X1 is equal to 3. And then you hit equal one more time. You're going to get X2 is equal to 2, which is the same solution that we found earlier. Tamam? So again, if you want to use the shortcut on the calculator, this is the way you can do it since it's a multiple choice exam. However, it is not a bad idea to use this because sometimes maybe in the multiple choice, they will ask you to use such an equation, or they will ask you what the equation is. Again, I'm not sure how the exam will be exactly, but just in case, make sure you are familiar with these methods and quadratic equation. طبعا, this can be done for any type of quadratic equation. And then you can, but here, let's do this one. In this case, if you notice, right, عندنا, this is the equation, 2x plus 3 into 2x minus 1 is equal to 4x plus 6. What are you going to do here? You're going to first distribute properly everything. So how do you distribute this? You're going to distribute the first one, and then you're going to distribute the second one. زين? So if I start the distribution, the red part is 2x times 2x. 2x is plus, this is minus, so this is minus 2x and 1. Now the green part, plus 3 and plus 2x, so it's plus 3 times 2x, plus 3 and minus 1 is minus, so 3 times 1. And this is going to be equal to 4x plus 6. We simplify this. This is going to be 4x squared. Then 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. Minus 2x times 1 is just minus 2x. Plus 3 times 2x is 6x. Minus 3 times 1 is 3, which is equal to 4x plus 6. الحين, in the case of a quadratic equation, we want the right side, the right-hand side here, and then we want this part to be 0. And then, so we're going to have to take all this part on the right side, we're going to have to take it to the other side of the equation. زين عشان يبقى لنا بس 0 on the right. How are we going to write this? It's going to be 4x squared minus 2x plus 6x minus 3. 4x, it's plus, so it's going to become, this is plus, so it's going to become minus on the left side, on the left-hand side. Or plus 6 will become also minus 6, and this is all going to be equal to 0. To solve a quadratic equation, حتى by using calculator mode 5.3, make sure that everything is on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, it has to be equal to 0. And now we can simplify. So 4x squared, ما في غيره squared. Then we have minus 2x plus 6x and minus 4x. And then we have the minus 3 and the minus 6. So this is going to be 4x squared minus 2x plus 6x minus 4x minus 3 minus 6 is equal to 0. And then simplifying this is 4x squared minus 2 plus 6 minus 4 is 0 plus 0. Then when we do minus 2 minus 4, it's minus 6, plus 6, it's 0. Minus 3 and minus 6 is going to give us minus 9, which is equal to 0. So in other words, this is 4x squared plus or minus 9. Then, but I'm not going to write it in that way right now. Why? لأن now if you want to use mode 5.3 هني, we have the a value, our a is equal to 4, our b is equal to 0, and our c is equal to minus 9. And then, so make sure that when you're using mode 5.3, you know what your a value is, your b value is, your c value is here. Do not write your b value as minus 9 here because that would be wrong. So make sure when you're using mode 5.3, you're doing it correctly. Or if you don't want to use mode 5.3, this is very simple to solve directly. This is 4x squared. Then, so if we don't want to use the mode 5.3, 4x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. We will take the minus 9 to the other side. So it's going to be 4x squared is equal to 9. We are going to divide by 4 on both sides. And then, so 4 and 4 will cancel here. بيبقى لنا x squared is equal to 9 over 4. And now to get rid of a square x squared when it's by itself, we can simply introduce a square root on both sides of the equation. And this is going to give us x is equal to the square root of 9 over 4. So x is simply equal to 3 over 2 because the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 4 is 2. Tamam? So this is how you can solve this. Very simple, very straightforward. All right. Obviously, it's going to be plus or minus 3 over 2. Why? Because we're doing the square root. When we are doing square root, it's going to have two values. So we're going to have x is equal to minus 3 over 2, and x is going to be equal to 3 over 2. To check this, if you want to check this, you can substitute the minus 3 over 2 in this equation and find and see if the solution is going to give you 0. يعني بتحطون to check. And this is the case for any quadratic equation. We will plug it in. So for x1, which is minus 3 over 2, we're just going to plug it in back into this equation. So instead of x squared هني, we're going to write minus 3 over 2 squared. And then you will notice that it's going to give you 0 equals 0, which is correct. Same thing for x2 is equal to 3 over 2. We're going to plug it into the equation. So it's going to be 3 over 2 squared minus 9 is equal to 0. بيعطيكم 0 is equal to 0. All right. This is the way you would check such a solution and make sure that your answer is correct. تمام. This is the most important thing in quadratic equations. It cannot get any more complicated than this. Solve the following quadratic equation, leaving your answer to 3 significant figures. And then this, I just want to show you one thing about this. يعني السؤال يقول leave your answers to 3 significant figures. زين if you used الحين mod 53, which I am going to do, mod 53, our A value here is equal to 2, our B is equal to 4, and our C is equal to minus 1. I know this because I instantly make sure that it's equal to 0 on the right-hand side, so I know I can use this. So it's going to be 2, 4, and minus 1. I press equal. X1 is going to be equal to 0.2247448 X2 is going to be equal to minus 2.224744871 blah blah blah. What does 3 significant figures mean? 3 significant figures معناته the answer has to be 3 numbers. All right, 3 numbers after the zeros. معناته if you have 0 to the left, these do not count. So we need 1, 2, 3. So this is up till here. This is 3 significant figures. And then, so again, I'm just going to write this at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3 sig fig. And then you're going to look at this number. Remember rounding. If it's greater than 5, which is the greater or equal to 5 in this case, you're going to have to add 1 to the answer. So x1 is equal to 0.225. And then 4 plus 1, which is 5. This is just rounding from math 1. Same thing for x2. And then you just drag this down a bit here. Again, you will apply the same idea. So we have 1, 2, 3. We're going to draw a line. We're going to look at this number. It is less than 5, so we will do nothing here. So this is plus 0. We'll do nothing. So x2 is equal to minus 2.22. This is how you would find it in 3 significant figures. Remember, zeros to the left and do not count when they are before the decimal point. When they are after the decimal point, they do count. But before the decimal point, they do not count. Okay? That's pretty much it for quadratics, I believe. Let me see if there's anything else that might be important from quadratics that I might need to go over. I'm pretty sure this is all very straightforward so far. Okay. Again, this requires a lot of practice if you want to do it without the calculator. It's all the same. It's all the same. Now let's get into algebraic fractions. Anyone has any questions about quadratic equations in general? This should be very easy. You guys already did this a lot in Math 1, I believe. So there's nothing new. And there are already videos about it, about Math 1, yani uploaded last semester by me and by Sarah. She used to teach at the time, that go very into much more detail for all of this, for all of quadratic equations. And yeah. So let us get into algebraic fractions. Then. So let's look at this. Okay, now we're in algebraic fractions. What does that mean? معناته عندنا fraction that has a lot of components to it. So let me rewrite this. 1 second. I'm worried one thing we're told to change radian to degree. What topics will need radians and degrees? The only time you will have to change radians and degrees is when you're using the sine and cosine functions. Other than that, nothing will be affected in your calculation. And we will see that, inshallah, in the 3rd session when we're going over the topic of trigonometry. Excellent question. Okay, before I start this, Someone asked, what is the difference between significant figures and decimal places? I'm guessing. So, significant figures is the total numbers, all the numbers. يعني let's say we have 3.567. زين? This has 4 significant figures. ليش؟ لأن عندنا 1, 2, 3, 4 values to it. زين? So it's 4 significant figures. The same number, let's talk about decimal places. All right? To 2 decimal place, 3 decimal place. What does that mean? It means how many numbers after the decimal point. So we have 1, 2, 3. So this is up to 3 decimal places. Okay? This is the difference between significant figures and decimal places. I'm not sure if they're going to test you on this a lot right now in foundation, but later on in first year degree, you're going to see this question like a lot, where it will ask you in decimal places or significant figures, and it's going to be important to know later on. All right. So again, significant figures is the total number of numbers, excluding zeros. Yani if there's a 0 over here, this does not count. Zain. This is the 4 significant. This is significant figures. Decimal places is after the decimal point. We have a decimal point over here. It's the numbers after the decimal point. Getting into algebraic fractions. Simplify 15y over 15y over 4z cubed times 2z over 5y to the power of 4. Now, remember the rules when it comes to basic, before I even solve this, basic power, remember power, زين? So when we have x squared divided by x, or let's say x5 divided by x squared, زين? This means that we are going to subtract. We're going to subtract this minus this. معناته we are going to do x power 5 minus 2, so it's equal to x power 3. Okay, this is what this means when we have division. When we have multiplication, so let's say x5 times x power 2. When we have the same base, in this case it's x, this means we are going to add. So this plus this. زين? So this means that this is going to be x5 plus 2, which is equal to x to the power of 7. And the last and most important point is if you have x to the power of minus 3. This minus represents that you are going to do 1 over. بما معناه, it is going to be 1 over x to the power of 3. All right? These are the 3 most important concepts when it comes to multiplication and division with powers. زين? If you have division, it's negative, it's minus, you're going to subtract. If you have multiplication, you're going to add. And if you have a negative sign, it simply means it's the reciprocal. يعني it's 1 over. زين? نفس الشيء. إذا عندنا 1 over x to the power of minus 3, for example. زين? This minus simply means that we are going to take it up. يعني we're going to take this part and move it up here. زين? So simply this will be x to the power of 3. زين? If you have a minus, you're just going to take it to the numerator or denominator, depending on the position. If we have multiplication, we're going to add. If we have division, we're going to subtract. Keep in mind, these have to all have the same base. يعني this is x and x, this is x and x. This is x, this doesn't matter really, it's the same. But in this case, in multiplication and division, it has to be the exact same base. يعني it has to be x and x. All right? Now let us get into solving this question. So it's 15y over z cubed times 2z over 5y4. فأول شيء we simplify. We just multiply. Since it's multiplication in the middle, we just multiply up and down. زين together. زين we multiply them straightforward. That's the rule. So بيستوي 15y times 2z over 4z cubed times 5y power 4. زين simply when you have multiplication and fractions, you multiply numerators together, you multiply the denominators together. You're multiplying these two, and you're going to be multiplying these two. Okay? That's what this means. زين? So that's what I did here. So this is going to be equal to 15y, 15 times 2. You can always multiply the constants هني. فعندنا 15 and we have 2, all right? We can multiply those directly into each other. So it's going to be 15 times 2, and then times yz, all right? We could just, which means y times z. And the same thing we can do at the bottom. 4 times 5 times z3 y4. Okay, so you're just going to group these up next to each other, and then you're not going to do anything بس تكتبونهم يم بعض. All right, and you're going to multiply the coefficients, which is 4 and 5, the constant numbers. If we simplify this is 30. 15 times 2 yz over 4 times 5 is 20. And I'm going to write it in order, and I advise you always do the same. So this is y to the power of 4 and z to the power of 3. Same thing. You can have anything in order. It's multiplication. The order is always going to be the same. Now, we'll look at the constants later. So we're going to be looking at the y's together, and we're going to be looking at the z together. There are as many different ways you can do this to make it easier for yourselves, but this is how I would do it. So 30 over 20 بنخليه على صوب times y over y4 times z over z to the power 3. Then this is how you can look at it. I wouldn't recommend you write it in this way every time, but this is until you understand the concept. يسهل لكم الموضوع. So y to the power of nothing, it's y to the power of 1 basically, and this is z to the power of 1. We have division. What does division mean? معناته we are going to do 1 minus, and we're going to do 1 minus. زين? So 30 over 20, نخليه على صوب, later we'll look at it, times. So y 1 minus 4 times z 1 minus 3. Okay? 30 over 20, again, I'm just going to simplify this to 3 over 2. Keep it on the side. زين? y 1 minus 4 is y to the power of minus 3 times z, which is 1 minus 3 minus 2. Now remember the rule. In this case, we have this rule where we have a negative. So what do? We just simply do the 1 over. So this is 3 over 2 times 1 over y to the power of 3 times 1 over z to the power of 2. And now we could just multiply everything together again. Simply, we're going to get 3 times 1 times 1, then, which is just 3, over 2 times y cubed times z squared. So it's equal to 3 over 2y cubed z squared, and this is your final answer. And then, is this point clear? This is simply how you would do it all the time from the point of view of simplification. Let me see if there's anything else. Solutions. أنا ما بشوف solution expressed in a single fraction. Okay, here. This is what I wanted to look at. Let's do this one. So we have, in this case, division in between. Then 6d cubed over 5e divided by 18d over 20 e to the power of 4. هني شو اللي بتسوونه؟ الdivision, this division, you're going to convert it into multiplication. زين? But to do that, we're going to have to switch the position of these two and then solve normally. فبيستوي 20 e to the power of 4 up, and 18d down. Okay, the second part, not the first part, the part after the division, you're going to switch, and the first part is going to stay the same. And then we will solve exactly the way we solved earlier. فبيكون عندنا 6d cubed times 20e4 all over 5e times 18d. Simplifying this, it's going to be 6 times 20 times d cubed e4, 5 times 18 times ed. زين. So again, we're just going to simplify the values. So 6 times 20 is 120 times d cubed e4 all over 5 times 18, which is 90, times d, again, I'm just going to reorder it, de. And then you will do the exact same thing again. We're going to look at the d cubed and the d. The d's, we're going to look at them together, and the e's, we're going to look at them together. So it's going to be 120 over 90. I'm going to do it here in one step directly, عشان you just see how I do it. This is going to be d to the power of 3, and this is d to the power of 1, and this is e to the power of 1. Since it's division, it's d3 minus 1, d to the power of 3 minus d to the power of 1. زين. Sorry, d to the power of 3 minus 1. فبيكون d to the power of 3 minus 1. زين. Let me do it in green عشان ما يكون في confusion. So this is going to be times d3 minus 1, and then we know it's division directly, times e to the power of 4 minus 1. تمام? Simplifying this, 12 over 9 is 4 over 3. يعني 120 over 90 is 4 over 3. Times d squared, زين, times e to the power of 3, or e cubed. So we can just simplify this and write it all as one go. It's going to be 4d squared e cubed over 3. None of this, just multiplying. You can think of this as if it's over 1 and over 1 if it makes it easier. And this is how you would solve anything. And now you should be ready to solve any type of algebraic fractions. You just have to follow these 4 rules, these important rules. اللي هو when you have multiplication, division, and when you have power of minus up or power of minus down. And then you will know how to solve any question. Any questions about algebraic fractions? زين. في أسئلة that is saying, yes, please go ahead. If you have any questions, ask right now before I move on to transposition, because that will be the last thing we will cover today. Do you want me to do one more question for transposition, هذا for algebraic fractions? زين. Let me take this image that Hassan sent earlier and we're going to solve it, or B and C and D. Okay, let me look at B. B is exactly the same concept. I will do it. C, exactly. Okay. So the question he gave me was part B. I'm not sure from where this is, but it's 4wxy over 8xy. It's very straightforward. Very straightforward. هني عندكم x to the power of 1. This is all as if it's to the power of 1, and these are to the power of 1, and w to the power of 1, but we don't have any w. So if we look at the x part by itself, it is x power 1 minus 1. So it's equal to x power 0. Any number to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Any number to the power of 0 is equal to 1. For this, basically, in other words, we can say they cancel out. This is what we usually say when they have the same power. And cancel them directly. Same thing for the y part. Then it is y1 minus 1, which is equal to y to the power of 0. So y of 0 is equal to 1. Or, in other words, we can say it just cancels out. So what we will be left with is 4 over 8 w. Yes. 4 over 8w is equal to 1 over 2 times w. or you can write it as W over 2. This is what happens. We have the same power, عندنا the same power, we can directly cancel them out with each other. This is part B. Part C, you will apply the same exact concept that we learned, and then you will not change anything. So it's x plus 10 to the power of 5 over x plus 10 to the power of 4. And then, as long as the base is the same, it doesn't matter how complicated the base is. The rules will apply because you're only going to be looking at the powers. So since this is division, same base, division, this is going to be minus this. فشو بيبقى لكم؟ بيبقى لكم x plus 10 to the power of 5 minus 4. تمام؟ So it's equal to x plus 10 to the power of 1, which is simply x plus 10. This is part C. Again, it doesn't matter what the base is as long as the bases are similar. And okay, the last one. The last one I was about to cover that concept now, but let's start with your question. So he gave me x minus 3 over x squared minus 9. This is where you need to understand factorization. زين لأن now you will have to factor out the bottom part عشان you can cancel it out with the top part. So the bottom part, there is a formula you guys need to know, which is a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b times a minus b. I'm pretty sure you've seen this before. زين this is one of the rules of math, of basic mathematical rules, algebraic rules. In the bottom part, we see that we have this form, اللي هو a squared minus b squared, where a, in this case, a is equal to x, and b is equal to square root of 9, which is 3, لأن this is b squared. So if I want to rewrite this, this is as if it's saying x minus 3 over x squared minus 3 squared. زين? So now this is in the form of a squared minus b squared. So what was the formula? It's a plus b times a minus b. So this is going to be x minus 3 over x minus x, which is a, x minus 3 into x plus 3, where 3 is b. This, again, you need to memorize this form. You need to understand this form so you can apply it here directly. If you notice here, x minus 3 and x minus 3 will cancel. ليش? As the same idea I said earlier. So this is power 1, this is power 1. زين? When you have the same power, you can straight up directly cancel these two equations. So we'll be left with a 1 over x plus 3 as the answer. زين? I was just about to start solving questions like this, but I wanted to start with something easier, and I will do that now. So let's look at this. We have 18a minus 21. So we have 18a minus 21 divided by 3. Here you're going to have to find the common factor of 18a and 21. And how can you do that? You're going to have to find a number that you can take out from 18 and 21. يعني 18, we know that it has these factors, اللي هو 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and it keeps on going. That's it. These are the factors. نفس الشيء 21. It has these factors, which is 1 and 21, 2 ما عندنا, 3 عندنا, and 7, and that's it. So we notice that what do we have common? العامل المشترك يعني the 3. زين? For the 18 we will be left with 6, and for the 21 we will be left with 7. So I can rewrite this as 3 into 18 will be remaining 6 out of it, 6 بس بيبقى. زين? And minus the 3 is taken out, what will be remaining? 7 over here divided by 3. So the 3 and the 3 will cancel. You will be left with 6a minus 7. This is another way of simplifying algebraic equations. طبعا هني you need to make sure you know how to do your factorization very properly, very easily. A trick here is, you see the division has 3 on it. So you know that ال3 أكثر الظن بيكون العامل المشترك يعني حق the above part, but it's not always the case. All right? So you have to, this comes with practice. You need to know what two numbers you multiply will get 18, and the same number you multiply, you get a 21, and then you can take out the common. Let's do another question. Then, let's take this one, for example. 5b minus 40 over 2b minus 16. So here again, you see the 5 here and you see the 2 here. There's nothing in common specifically directly, but we can take the 5 as a common factor in the beginning. Then we can take a 5 out from each. And at the bottom, we can take the 2 as a common out from each. Then, so what will we be left with? بيكون 5 times 5 divided by 5 is 1, so it's just b minus 5 times what gives you 40? 5 times 8. فبيبقى لنا 8. b minus 8 up here. Same thing we will do now for the denominator. So it's 2 times again 2 times what? 2 times 1 gives you 2, so this is just going to be 1b. Same as here, this was 1b. Minus 16, 2 times what gives you 16? It is again 8. So we notice now that we have the exact same formulas over here. And then a b minus 8, and if I simplify this, this is going to be b minus 8 over 2 times b minus 8. Since these are the same power, I can directly just cancel these two. والجواب النهائي بيكون equal 5 over 2. All right. Yes, today's session will only be up to week 2, inshallah. Next session will be week 3 and 4. Tamam? There is also a lot of other different questions that might come. I cannot cover obviously all the topics. However, it all involves everything I have explained when it comes to factorization and how to find a common factor in this way. زين? It will always be the case when it comes to simplification. طبعا with practice you will get much better at this, so I would recommend you guys solving this a lot on your own time. I will do one more question though. That might look a little bit more complicated. So let's do this one. X squared plus x minus 6 divided by x squared minus 7x plus 10. Remember, you guys wanted to do mod 5.3. Now you cannot really do mod 5.3. And you're going to have to factorize up and down. عشان you will be able to simplify this. So let us look at the top part first. زين. The factors, again, remember, A is equal to 1, B is equal to 1, C is equal to minus 6. Yes, this is the same lesson. This is all algebraic fractions. You're going to look at C. You're going to look at your C value. So minus 6. زين. You have 3 and 2. زين. 3 and 2, which two ways you multiply them that you're going to get 6, and you're going to subtract or add, and you will get your b value, which is 1. This b value over here. زين. So 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. So these are the numbers you're going to choose, the 3 and the minus 2. So when we factorize this, it's going to be x is minus x plus 3 times x minus 2. Again, I will repeat. These two numbers, 3 times 2 will give you 6. زين. But there's a minus, so one of them is going to be negative. We're not sure yet. How do we check? We know that with the b value here is 1. So we know that when we add 3 with negative 2, we're going to get the answer, which is our b value. So we know that this is going to be our solution. 1 is 3 and 1 is minus 2. So we're going to write x plus 3 and x minus 2. And this is how we factorize the top part. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for the bottom part. زين. We're going to look at the 10. So the 10, you have 2 and 5, all right? And then we have the minus 7. So minus 7, it has to be equal to minus 7. How can this be equal to minus 7? It's going to be minus 2 minus 5, and that's going to give us minus 7. So we know that this is our solution. So it's going to be over x minus 2, x minus 5. All right? Now we can see which two are similar. As you notice here, there we have x minus 2 over here, and we have x minus 2 over here. And then we can cancel this out, x minus 2 and x minus 2. We're going to be remaining with x plus 3 over x minus 5. الحين, there is a different way to solve this using the calculator. There is. I do not recommend it because people sometimes make mistakes, and you can only use it when a is equal to 1. And this is very important. You can only use it when a is equal to 1, which is, you're going to do these two again. زين. إذا استخدمنا mod 5.3 for the first one, the green one, for a is equal to, we're going to get out your calculators and look at this with me عشان you guys understand. So 1, a is 1, b is 1, all right? And c is minus 6. بتلاحظون ان x1 came out to be equal to 2. And x2 is equal to minus 3. معناته this is the solution. In other words, نقدر نكتب ان x minus 2, the opposite sign, times x plus 3 is going to be the factorization of the top. And we can do the exact same thing again for the bottom. Mod 5.3. زين. x1 is equal to, so mod 5.3, 1, a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 7, and c is equal to 10. x1 is equal to 5, and x2 is equal to 2. Again, when the solution comes, when we want to factorize, you're going to have to put a minus sign. So this is minus 5, and it's going to be the opposite sign. If this is plus, this will be minus. Times x, this is plus, this will be minus, minus 2. And this is a different way of factorizing this. So it's going to be x minus 2 into x plus 3 over x minus 5 and x minus 2. And then cancel, you'll get the same exact answer, x plus 3 over x minus 5. Again, the calculator method, I do not recommend it because it only works for when a is equal to 1. Tamam? When a is not equal to 1, you solve it normally, which I did not go over, but I will show you a technique later on, inshallah. I want to go over transposition, and I will send you guys a video that explains it much better than I will ever explain it when it comes out of factorization. I just need to cover the transposition questions very importantly because a lot of people make mistakes there as well. And then if we have time, I will try to go over the factorization with you guys some more. Zain? So let us look at transposition very quickly. Transposition is straightforward. It's very easy. Zain? Let's take a very simple example. Like this. S plus x is equal to 7. So we need to make the letter the subject of the formula. This is what they call transposition of a formula. We need to make this the subject of the formula. What does this mean? This means that we want S is equal to something here and S be by itself on the left-hand side. This is what transposition is. So S plus X is equal to 7. How do we do this? We're going to leave S over here and we're going to move everything else to the other side. In this case, we only have this X. We're going to take it to the other side. So S is equal to 7. X is positive here. It's going to become negative here, minus X. This is what transposition is. All right. I want to do a bit more complicated one now. عشان بس the concept is a bit better. But this is just the simple idea of what transposition is. The subject, which is given here to be S, we have to put it on one side, and then we equate it to everything else on the other side. Now, we are given this. 11p is equal to 2b minus 2c squared. Again, what is our subject? It's b. So we need the b to be by itself, not 2b, just the b itself to be on one side. So if I just rewrite this, 11p is equal to 2b minus 2c squared. فإحنا نبغى ال b to be by itself on one side. Okay? Usually my first step is if it's on the right side, I just rewrite this equation so that it's on the left side. يعني I do this 2b minus 2c squared is equal to 11p. I did not change anything. All I did was I removed this and put it on the left, and I moved this to put it on the right. They're both equal anyway, so I did not change anything. Insane? I did not change anything at all. I just flipped the formula. And now I start solving for b. So the first step is to get rid of all the pluses and minuses in the equation. So this is minus 2c squared. We need to take it to the other side. All right? This minus 2c squared, we need to get rid of it. So how does that work? We're going to have 2b is equal to 11p. This is minus 2c squared, so it will become plus 2c squared. Do not worry about the square or the c or anything. Consider it just a normal number. We're only focused on b being on one side by itself. And now we have a 2 here, so we just have to divide both sides by 2. So b is going to be equal to, the 2 and 2 will cancel, فبيبقى لنا 11p plus 2c squared over 2. And this is how you would solve any transposition question. I'm trying to find something that's a bit more difficult, but I cannot really. Okay, I just did. And then let's say we have, no, how bad, straightforward. Okay, there we go. I'll do this one last transposition one, and if you understand this one, you should be fine with most transposition questions. Obviously, there's a lot of other concepts you need to practice a lot, but here the question says y should be the subject which is over here in the denominator. Zain? So first, I'm just going to write this down again. P over 2y plus 9p is equal to 7a. So first things first, I want the y to be by itself. So I'm going to take this plus 9p and take it to the other side. Zain? So I'm going to take this to the other side. This is always the first step. You want the y to be by itself on one side without any pluses or minuses around it. So we'll remain with p over 2y is equal to 7a plus is 9p on the left, so it will become minus 9p on the right. Now, the trick here is there is something called the reciprocal. شو يعني reciprocal؟ معناته إذا عندنا p over 2y is equal to, أو خلني I take an easier example. If we have x over 3 is equal to 2 over y, زين, we can flip both sides of the equation and they will be equal to each other. So it's going to be 3 over x is equal to y over 2. Tamam? This is what they call the reciprocal. Reciprocal. زين? So this is what we're going to do here. هني, it's as if this is all over 1. Remember, when there is no denominator, معناتها it's the same as saying it's divided by 1. But we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to flip these two sides, but make sure you do this after you get rid of all the pluses and minuses around it. Otherwise, you would not be able to solve for it. This will become 2y over p is equal to 1 over, لأن ال 1 الحين will go up, 7a minus 9p at the bottom. زين? Now, we're not going to cross multiply. ليش؟ لأن we want y to be by itself. We just want to get rid of 2 over p. زين? So do not cross multiply here because we're doing transposition. We're not trying to solve the equation. This is not a linear equation and we're trying to solve. We're going to multiply. Remember, when we want to get rid of something, we have to multiply. If we have a fraction, it's going to be a fraction. زين? The P is down, so we want to multiply it up so we can cancel. The 2 is up, so we want to multiply it down so they can cancel. And this way now we can cancel the 2 with the 2 and the P with the P. But anything you do on the left side, you're going to have to do on the right hand side as well. So Y by itself now is going to be equal to 1 over 7, 1 times P, which is P, right? 1 times P over 2 into 7A minus 9P. What did I do? I just multiplied. This is the same as multiplying the bottom part with the bottom part, this times this, and the top part with the top part, which is this times this. Okay? So this is going to be equal to, if I simplify it a bit more, it's P over, we just distribute the 2 inside. So 2 times 7 is 14A minus, because minus and plus becomes minus, 2 times 9 is 18P. And this is your final answer. Y is equal to this. Okay? This is as complicated as it might get in transposition. There's one more thing you might need to know, which is if you have this, the square root. يعني مثلا عندكم square root of 11c plus 3 is equal to 2. Then you want to solve for c. What do? You just square both sides to get rid of the square root. And then this will cancel with this. You'll be left with 11c plus 3 is equal to 2 squared is just 4. And now we can solve for c. This is what we're trying to solve for, which is c. And then, so how do we do this? We take the 3 to the other side. So it's going to be 4 minus 3. And then we're going to divide by 11 both sides. And it is going to be, c is going to simply be equal to 4 minus 3, which is 1 over 11. All right. The trick here is just to show you that if you have a square root over the whole thing, you can cancel it by squaring both sides. And this is transposition. Let me go back to the algebraic. عشان a lot of you guys want me to focus on that a bit more. Someone just sent me this question as well. So 7y into w plus x is equal to 9xy. I don't know what the question here is exactly. What is the subject supposed to be? لازم يكون في subject. يعني لازم يقول مثلا I want x to be the subject of this equation. How you will do this? First thing always is distributing. زين? So it is going to be 7yw plus 7yx. زين? This is the case if x is being the subject is equal to 9xy. All right? Again, anything that has the x in it, the whole term, you're going to group it all together. This has x and this has x. And anything without the x, you will take to the other side. Fair? We will take this here, and we will take the x's to the left-hand side. فبيكون عندنا 7yx. This is plus over here. It will become minus 9xy is equal to 7yw. All right? So the way to solve this now is تاخذون x as a common factor أو العامل المشترك. زين? So you will take your x as a common outside. So this x and this x, you will take it out as a common. زين? So this will be x times 7y minus 9y is equal to 7yw. And now simply all you have to do is get rid of the 7y and 9y. So you divide by the same number, 7y minus 9y. Remember, when we have the same thing up and down, they cancel. Then, same power, same everything, they will cancel. But anything you do to the left, you have to do to the right. فالx value is equal to 7yw over 7y minus 9y. Okay, this is another transposition question and how to solve it. 7 wanted to be negative. Which 7? Yes, you're right. هني is 7. This is plus. This has to be minus here. I forgot about that. You're right. minus minus. And then I was just trying to solve very quickly. And then, so here, if you notice, you can simplify it even more. You have minus 7yw over, we can take the y here out as a common factor. عامل مشترك. زين العامل المشترك بيكون y, which is y into 7 minus 9. All right. Y, we can cancel it, or why am I even complicating this? Then let me simplify it even more. So this is 7y minus 9y, صح ولا لا? So minus 7yw over 7 minus 9, which is simply going to be minus 2y. زين? So there's minus up and down. Minus and minus will cancel. When there's minus up and down in a fraction, they cancel each other out. يعني هذا الماينس will cancel this minus out. And we are now we have x is equal to 7yw over 2y. We have y power 1 up and down, so we can cancel these directly as well. So this is going to be equal to 7w divided by 2. Tamam? I didn't pay attention to just having y at the bottom, but if you have a single variable, you can always simplify it further and further. This is how you will get your final answer, 7w over 2. Let's do one last question before we conclude the session, and we will do a question from the factoring. Let me look at something that looks a little difficult, even though it won't be very difficult. Solving these is easy. And then let's look at this one. Again, this you can just use mod 5.3 in your calculator and you can solve it. The same method, but if you want to do the factoring method, you can also do that. But let's do mod 5.3 as it will be very quick for you in the exam to use. So we have c squared plus 6c plus 8 divided by c squared plus 12c plus 32. And then for the first part, our a is equal to 1, our b is equal to c, our 6, sorry, and our c is equal to 8. So mod 5.3, 1, 6, 8. You're going to get x1 to be minus 2 and x2 to be minus 4. معناته x1, not x1, sorry, x plus 2. Remember, it's going to be the opposite sign times x plus 4. This is your first factorization. And now we're going to do the exact same thing for the bottom part. So mod 5.3, 1, the a is equal to 1, b is equal to 12, and c is equal to 32. All right? X plus 2, sorry, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 12, and c is equal to 32. Again, we get x1 is equal to minus 4, and x2 is equal to minus 8. So when we want to do the factorization, it's going to be the opposite sign, x plus 4 and x plus 8. All right? Remember, again, this is only when a is equal to 1. This is very important. All right? This is very important. Only when a is equal to 1. When a is not equal to 1, you have to do the long factorization method that unfortunately I didn't have the time to explain today. But inshallah, I will send a video that of someone explaining it, as I believe I explained it in an older video. I'm not sure, I don't remember, but I will check and get back to you guys. Or inshallah, I will try to do it at the beginning of the next session before we start matrices. Then, so x plus 4, this is the final answer. Here we have x plus 4 up and x plus 4 down. We can cancel directly. So the final answer is going to be x plus 2 over x plus 8 simplified. Tamam? This will conclude the session. Inshallah, the video recording will be uploaded as soon as I can. Then I have another